hello there, little Muab Deeps. I hope you stick around, and if you're new around these parts, welcome back to another episode of Curtis Review. Today we're discussing Denis Villeneuve's instant sci-fi masterwork, Dune 2. Paul Atreides and his Bene Gesserit mother, Jessica, have teamed up with the Fremen, and we see that they are learning the ways of the people of the sand. Along with further exploits and battles involving the evil Harkonnens, Dune 2 is an overwhelming and psychological experience with so much backstory in the making of the movie alone that I just hope that I can capture what made it such a magical moment for me. And this is all coming from someone who isn't the biggest fan of sci-fi. Spoilers ahead, so pause here, go watch Dune 2, and then watch my video. Sit back, relax, and enjoy.
While I don't consider myself a big science fiction fan, I was presented science fiction and horror as the text of my childhood. My father, a computer and electrical engineer, was often tinkering in his office on machines and studying code on monitor screens. There was nothing he couldn't fix, a veritable magician with computers. I remember wanting to play the old PC game Black and White back in the day, a game where you play God and use giant orangutan familiars to enact miracles on the townsfolk. He had it installed the next day, a wizard in my eyes. He could make anything happen. From the depths of what we referred to his office as the computer room would come grunts, cheers, and random quotes from movies that he was often obsessed with. I remember hearing him utter the Shai Hulud. Shai Hulud. My dad would talk to us as if we should understand the fiction he had so readily absorbed and digested, finding peace and calm in The Fly or camaraderie and beauty in Hellraiser. This was one of the parents who raised me. On weekends, or really whenever he wanted to, my brother and I would pull our blankets from our bunk beds and post up at the foot of their bed. From this pulpit, Dad would slide in a laser disc of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, and before long, we were watching Luke Skywalker slice open a tauntaun and use its body for warmth. It was written. I would be a freak just like my father, at ease in the presence of great beasts, soaring spaceships, and narratives which carried you far, far away from the reality we lived in. The fortress of lore and references grew along with his own personal madness. I connected with my father mostly on movies and TV, his OCD keeping him from being able to open up and share about the pain that he housed beneath the glow of his closet of horror and science fiction. There was a psychological terror in his soul, a dream logic which he carried unto my brother and I. Nothing would be the same, forever shaped by his influence, and always fighting for his attention long after he was buried and placed in a mausoleum. I watched him age and deteriorate, becoming a shell of the man he was. Fear took him, and then his mind went after.
Given that this will likely become a trilogy, the groundwork that was laid with the lore building and world expanding in the first movie really allowed Denis and co. to really get into the nitty-gritty and further expand the already great foundation they laid. The symbols and motifs from the book are laid out almost perfectly. Almost so perfect that I believe Dune 2 to not only be a marked improvement on the movie before it, but even better than the novel. Bruh. I was not super moved by the first Dune, but I did quite enjoy the spectacle of it. The worm riding rituals, the thumpers, the Harkonnens floating up the rock surface in the intro sequence of the movie are all so visually arresting that Denis proved you could take a written idea and expound on it in a way that expands the lore and even making it better. Many will probably try to fight me in the comments that the book is better than the movie, and I welcome that. I've only read the novel once and I didn't really care for a large chunk of it. Now I have these books to compare to and I want to actually go back to the text. The movie made me want to read the books again. That said, the movie did leave out a couple of things, or let's say retextualize some of the things that I kind of missed from the novel.
Aaliyah, Paul's sister and the fetus growing in Jessica's stomach, is given a core scene in the movie. While Anya Taylor-Joy's star power is undeniable, and I can't wait to see her in Furiosa, I was saddened that the movie reduced Aaliyah to this. I loved how Jessica, after ingesting the water of life, was able to communicate with her daughter, and a striking reference to Kubrick and spectacle film in general. A powerful way to elaborate on the magical quality of the Bene Gesserit and the overpowering womanhood that those characters exude. However, cheapening the creepy quality of Jessica and Aaliyah's budding relationship to a flash forward felt kind of like studio interference to me. As if we need more star power in this movie. This could have been saved for a third film, because Aaliyah is a haunting presence into the third act of the Dune novel. The only true folly of Dune 2, aside from its slower pacing, are the staggering and disorienting time jumps. There are choices like this, such as when Paul drinks the water of life, that in the book take months to resolve. The editing cuts make it seem like Chani, showing up oddly in an ornithopter, appears on the scene right after Paul passes out from the water of life. These moments will serve beneficial in a second watch, maybe, but may prove impenetrable to an audience with no prior knowledge of the novel. While I find it refreshing refreshing how clear it is that Villeneuve and his crew regard the text of the movie with careful consideration. I'd recommend at least reviewing your copy of the novel or at least watching the first film before seeing this, because I wish I had. The amount of lore packed into every single scene of this movie will leave a lot of viewers scratching their heads. This does add a lot of intrinsic value to the viewer, but for others, they will probably wish they knew a little bit more about what was happening in some of the scenes. But that little bit more feeling pushes Dune 2 past being a science fiction masterpiece. It moves into ethereal and psychological territory, a piece of film that almost disturbingly sits with you for weeks after you see it.
When the credits for Dune 2 rolled right after the epic battle between Paul and Feyd-Rautha Harkonnen, after Paul promised he would always love Chani, only to take Princess Irulan's hand, Florence Pugh is crushing the wardrobe here and proving how much she can do just being in a scene. After this, we watched Chani ride off into the distance on a worm, and the movie ends. I was pissed. I said out loud in the theater, like, that's it? That's where this is ending? I've told my fiance that it felt a little empty and kind of difficult upon entry. What happened though is that I just couldn't shake how cool the movie felt. I listened to a few podcasts and almost instantly ordered the books later that night, and I went to sleep thinking this movie was just pretty awesome. But then later that night, I was woken up by a dream and was intruded upon by the dream logic of the movie. The worms, the flying landmines, the way that the Fremen move in and out of the sand. The movie just looks so amazing and ripples with imagination. And yes, the pacing is slow, but it allows for more time with our characters, which is crazy to think about because there's so much time spent on characterization in this movie, given how many characters there actually are and its runtime. Though Christopher Walken's Emperor didn't do much for me, the longer I pondered, the more I thought Dune 2 kicked fucking ass.
Around my 14th birthday, my dad took me to see Batman Begins. This was a key cinematic experience for me as a child. I was enthralled by it. The backstory of Bruce Wayne, Nolan's storytelling and perspective, the idea of a fear toxin a la Cillian Murphy's excellent Scarecrow, the League of Assassins, Ra's al Ghul. I couldn't stop thinking or talking to my family about it. It was arresting, a word that I can't stop thinking about while writing this script, in a way that I couldn't sleep. Though that may have been the suspect amount of plates of food I devoured at Jumbo Buffet after seeing the movie. It sparked an imagination in me for film that I carry to this day. Dune 2 was similar. It wasn't until after I saw the movie that it gripped me. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand the lore. I was shaken by how powerful Rebecca Ferguson played a Bene Gesserit witch, at the compelling story of politics, class, and religion being told at the movie's core. How love can be made mute in a world where political and house alliances dictate the flow of the world's most coveted and dangerous product. How spice doesn't just open physical doors, but causes wars and intends severe hallucinations. The way that Denis and his crew crafted the experience of Dune 2 makes not just the movie but the entire thing of Dune 2 something that will be coveted for years to come. We will never stop laughing in glee at Javier Bardem's earnest and winking performance of Stilgar shouting, "Lisan Al'Gaib!" anytime Paul happens to do something that was written in their text. It illustrates the dichotomy between young and old, hyper-religious to atheist, and the power of influence through the hoarding and trading of goods and services. Chani herself is the embodiment of the young mistrusting the ways of the elders, the Fremen skeptical of white interlopers coming in to help. The beginning of the movie, even before the Warner Brothers logo plays, shows a black screen with white text. The narrator chillingly reads in a language crafted solely for the film, "Power over spice is power over all." The fact that the Warner Brothers logo plays after that is so metatextually rich and even goes further into setting a tone. They created a living, breathing world, intoxicating in its ability to pull you into its strand of a dream.
Dune 2 is a really, really special movie to me. It reminds me of the good old days of just packing into my dad's tiny little red Acura and riding down the street to the movie theater. Hopefully my words on Dune 2 will inspire you, being the contrarian that I am, to give it a shot. I almost didn't see Dune 2 because while I thought the first one was good, wasn't sure it was enough to get me to go see the second. It's a movie that's power lies in the quiet moments after you see it, though its visuals and sound are amazing as well. This might be my new favorite Hans Zimmer score. I mean, the man is cooking here. So anyway, what did you think of Dune 2? Is my take on it too highfalutin or right on target? Do you like the book better than the movies? Leave all the comments below and don't forget to do your duty to the Kwisatz Haderach. hit that like button and smash the subscribe button as we are trying to hit our next milestone of 300 subscribers. Keep watching movies, keep forming your own opinions, keep the conversation going. Until next time, peace.
Lisan Al'Gaib! Lisan Al'Gaib!
What would you do if you had $1 million?
I'll tell you what I'd do, man. 2 chicks at the same time, man.
Lisan